Swimming in the last 200 years has generally stayed the same, until the 1970s where goggles were introduced. Goggles have also generally remained the same. There hasn't been a lot of improvements on goggles. They've generally failed to do what they're meant to do. At times, sometimes water would get into the goggles, making it hard for the swimmers to see, and sometimes it doesn't stay on long enough. I've faced my share of problems that I had with goggles while I swam in my high school. Most of the times the goggle wouldn't stay on long enough and water would get in. And I've heard horror stories of people getting their goggles on stuck way too hard and they pulled out an eyeball. But those were just myths. I've never actually seen it happen. Summary, goggles just suck and they need an overhaul on their design. And that's where I got my idea for improving the goggle from. Because I swam a lot and I had a lot of problems with breaking goggles and the problems beforehand. For how I prepared for this project, I simply just took one of my goggles that I use for swimming and just looked at the design. I was trying to figure out ways that I could possibly improve the design or find out some of the flaws that it has based on my personal experience with swimming with goggles and why does water get in, why does the suction give loose, and many other things. For my research, I basically took this as a physics approach. And on my research, I mostly looked for articles talking about airplane air pressures. And you might be wondering, why airplanes? How does that have to do anything with swimming? Well, swimming, you're constantly moving between different air pressures. For example, before you dive into the pool, you're going from a neutral air pressure into an extremely high pressure one with all the water. Some divers especially experience a lot of air pressure because of the water. Even if you're just a normal swimmer, sometimes you can dive really deep depending on which swim style it is. This is usually the reason why goggles stick onto your face, because of this change of air pressure. And also the reason why some divers are not allowed to wear goggles, because they risk the chance of pulling out their eyes, although it's never been recorded before or I've probably never heard of it. But this is usually the main concern about air pressures. Now, the biggest problem with this project is mainly the design. Obviously, for swimming, you want to be the fastest. So you don't want to make goggles that take too much room or it'll just slow you down with all the drag. I also have little room to work with to find a solution to the air pressure problem. My solution to the air pressure problem looks very similar to a regular pair of goggles. But my pair of goggles has two special features: the slider and then the popper. This is the side POV of the goggles. So the slider is supposed to slide into the goggles, covering that little hole right there. This is the back side of the slider. It has a little node to cover in and fit into the hole. It has a little rubber ring to seal in the air. The last piece is called the popper. Now the popper is what is used to release the air pressure when you're getting out of the pool. So to simply release the air, you twist the little gears on the goggles inwards and it will release a pin that pushes the slider out. Design aimed for ease of use more than anything. So the idea is when you're pressing your goggles against your face, you can easily slide the sliders with your thumb. And when you're getting out of the pool, you can easily twist the top of your goggles like binoculars to release your goggles. Thank you for taking your time to listen to this creative project.